Yes, I've got you under my skin. I've tried so not to give in. I said to myself, this affair ain't never gonna go too well. But why should I try to resist?
Hey, welcome back to the Piece of Chaos podcast. I have the founder and CEO of Don't Tell Comedy, Kyle Kazanjian-Amory, and his private events and external affairs lead, Morgan Culbertson. And we talk about how amazing Don't Tell Comedy is. If you're not familiar, all the links are in the show notes. It's just a really cool way to present comedy in most cities around the country. Really high quality comedy, great experience for comedy, and I don't know, just the right guys doing it and doing it well, and it's really cool. Enjoy the conversation with Kyle and Morgan.
I guess the backstory to Don't Tell is I'd always loved stand-up. Actually studied accounting in college, weirdly enough, and I worked in accounting for 3 years, but I was doing open mics at night in Orange County, and eventually moved to LA and had a job, but was doing more and more shows, and it was so hard to get stage time that I just decided I wanted to start producing shows, hosting, and found random spaces. I was producing like 3 or 4 shows at one time, one in Redlands, one in Culver City, another one in like Culver City, another one down the street in Culver City at like some really cool black box theater. And it was such a cool way to network and like meet comics. Yeah. Also like volunteering at a show downtown called Uncabaret. Okay. So I felt like it was really important to just kind of get to know people in the community and watch a lot of good comedy and be around it. So I love that in LA you can do that. And you can see all these incredible comedians that people pay a lot of money to see in theaters, but they're doing local spots in town.
I found that the having available stage time, you always hear that it's hard to get stage time, and it's extremely true. It's also hard to get valuable, useful stage time that serves your purpose, right? So having a good show that comics know is going to be good with a receptive audience is a whole different deal than just having a place and a microphone. So like, I don't know if you ever did, what was that? There's another place down in Marina Del Rey. I think it's closed now. They used to have tortoise races, but they also had comedy nights on Mondays. And it was like, no one was listening. And they were completely across the bar. Usually there was either a softball team or some other thing in there. They just didn't want us there. So it was always just comics on one half of the bar talking to each other, and then mayhem on the other side of the bar. And it just like, it's like, I don't know if this is helping me or not.
Dude, I relate to that so much because that's part of the inspiration for Don't Tell. Is I produced a show at this brewery, and I had to do a show during like Game 6 of the World Series that went into extra innings. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear jokes. They're watching the game. Yeah. And then it was like, all right, well, can I create a show that people will actually be there to watch comedy? And so basically get rid of all the distractions and create an environment where there's a real connection between the performers and the audience. Yeah. And so with Don't Tell, I had heard about a company that called So Far Sounds that does intimate concerts, and loved what they had done. They were in over like 300 cities internationally back in 2017. And I thought that, after seeing backyard shows in LA that were really cool and like kind of a house party vibe, but no infrastructure, I thought that So Far's model could work really well for stand-up, and to make like this really special experience that you only can get access to if you like know a comic or friends of a friend, right? To like make that more accessible for people and bring stand-up to like neighborhoods that don't have clubs. Create a more affordable experience so you're not paying for a 2-drink minimum, bring your own drinks, and then trust that it's going to be a good show. And part of like the concept of Don't Tell is it's secret comedians. It's a secret location. You don't know if you're going to see a show in a backyard, somebody's living room, a clothing store, top of a rooftop. But because we were so intentional about booking really good comedians on every show, we built that word of mouth, like from the beginning. It kept people coming back and telling their friends. And I think that's the best way of marketing anything, is just doing something really cool that people enjoy. And trusting that they'll tell other people.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the quality of the show, because that's the other part, is that I think a lot of like bar shows, or even the clubs, when they do producers, that can just go get whoever they want. I don't know about you, but I didn't realize how few people actually go to comedy shows in their life. Like it's kind of a rarity. Like every month, every other week when we had a show, there'd be at least one person be like, "Oh, I've never been to a comedy show before. This was great." And you're like, "And your first one was in this shitty bar?" Like, well, go to a club, go see. But what we could do, what I always wanted to do, was bring super good quality. And I would think about the show almost like a set list, like, who goes well together? And is this a good, the whole show is going to be good? Because I mean, I came from, the other thing that I didn't mention is that I'm a musician, and I toured with a band for a long time. So like I knew, it's important to build the show. It's important to build a set list. It's important to build an evening. And then the other half is dealing with venues in a musician setting. In comedy, it's the same thing. You kind of know what you're going to be dealing with. So I think the key, though, is that you have really good comics, and then word of mouth spreads. I mean, that's the thing, is I'm sure you do it too, but like for me, it was like, hey, this guy's on the show tonight. And then after the show, you can watch him on Conan because he's premiering on Conan, like stuff like that. You're just like, people are just blown away.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, it's hilarious the level of talent that you can get on shows in LA. People that will just drop in to pick up extra sets. And that's the difference between music and comedy, is comedians are always looking for stage time. Yeah. Whereas like musicians can like, I mean, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about in terms of music, but I just assume that, people can like, jam out together and like go to the recording studio and whatnot. But like, they don't need to like test songs in front of people.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's more it's fun. It's better. It's more fun. It's a show, but you can in isolation learn your craft, and then you go do the show and you play the song. It's not like you can't even hear the crowd, so you don't know whether they like it or not really until you're done. So
exactly.
It's a totally different animal. And I think what I started doing towards the end of the run before the pandemic at Brewing Comedy was giving long sets. So I would have people come out that were prepping to do like their hour or a half hour, and be like, you can run the whole set, because we had a captive, really interested comedy audience every time.
That's great. And it's just so valuable for comics to be able to do that if they can't necessarily get that much time, and they're having to work out like 15-minute chunks on different shows throughout the week. Giving people a long set is like so valuable.
Yeah.
Something I think, someone who hasn't personally done comedy, but who's like interested, if I had like a check mark, I could say that. And so this like proximity to it is so interesting, as someone who's like always been a huge fan. And like Kyle, these shows, the Don't Tell shows, like it's like going to those versus going to like a comedy club. It's like going on like a star tour versus like when you go to it's like you go to LA and you do like Madame Tussauds, like, Ripley's Believe It or Not, versus like going to Griffith Park, or like doing something actually that feels like organic, and like it's an experience that's not just like, come in, sit down, take your comedy, and like people are just, you kind of feel like you're part of a herd of system. But then you go to these shows and it was the surprise, the novelty, the surprise and novelty experience. It was like, this is cool. This is what people like our age in this city should be doing. And like, this makes sense to me. Yeah. So I would always bring people, and I was always asking friends to go. I'd buy tickets right away because I knew it would sell out. I probably had like 4 tickets to Don't Tell shows that I never went to because I like got too excited and bought them and didn't even get to go. So you owe me for that. But
that was you who was supposed to sit in the front row. And so we had to leave empty seats up there.
Oh, and I'm a front sitter too. I'm like, do it, like go, because I don't know what that's about. But the experience is so cool. And I think if we were to like, people trust it, and it's like that's what it's all about. And I feel like the brand aspect is so important nowadays with branding. It's not like commercial appeal. It's like every single person, like you do your niche well and people will keep coming back. And it feels like that's what you guys have been able to do really well.
Yeah, I think that the big difference is I don't even think of clubs as like competition for us because we're in totally different worlds.
Yep.
A lot of people coming to our shows, it's their first time to a comedy show. They want to do something fun. And the vibe that we want to set is like, this is a community. If you go to a club, you're probably not going to talk to your neighbors. But if you're bringing a 6-pack of some hard seltzer and somebody else is bringing something else, and you're sitting next to them and you're in some weird backyard, it genuinely feels like a house party, then you're going to meet people. You're going to like have this completely different experience. So it is just so different while also being the same in that you have similar comics performing on the shows.
Right.
But anyways, I think that the vibe, having it laid back and feel more like a community makes the shows better and makes the audiences like way more engaged and just hotter crowds. And I also want to say, shout out Madame Tussauds for, you mentioned them. They've actually hosted shows of ours in 5 different cities, including London.
Yeah, I know I put them in as a tourist trap example, but they're having a show there now. That would be going to Madame Tussauds in like a whole different kind of way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that.
That's really cool. What did you, so is it kind of like a franchise subscription to Don't Tell, or you just find out it's coming and you get, just
I would always
for people that aren't familiar.
see it on Facebook and be like, oh, hey, that show's happening again. I'm going to book it. And then like, I'll buy 2 and someone will come with me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least like me as like Betty consumer, Jane Doe consumer. It's how I was. I wonder if that's typical Kyle or.
Yeah. The way that I guess the way that it really started is we started this in LA, and the whole concept is we're putting together a show. We're going to tell you the neighborhood. So Don't Tell Venice. And then the show's listed maybe 2 weeks before. Mm-hmm. You buy a ticket and it's in Venice. Day of, you get an email. It's at this location. Started in LA, then brought it up to San Francisco. Like literally I'm driving with chairs in the back of my car and a PA system and all this stuff. Around. I've carried so many chairs at this point. It's insane. And I still do it because I really enjoy the whole process of like curating the show and whatnot. But anyways, it's not franchised. It's really like, we created the infrastructure and we do all the marketing. We partner with the best like local comics or people who really love comedy in each city. But a lot of times it is, we're a comedian started, like comedian run organization. So, we have people who are well connected in each scene. They're booking the best comics and it's showcase style. So 5-6 comics on each show doing 10 to 15 minutes.
Right.
Started here, went to San Francisco, then it worked, went to Portland, went to Boston, just put on like one show at a time. It kept working. And then it felt like, okay, well, what if we just invested in equipment in every city and we'll hand it off to people we trust to run these shows, kind of train them up on how to build partnerships with really cool spaces and venues in each city. Sort of the level of quality that we want to shoot for, connect comics who are touring around if they're looking to pick up spots, and just creating this bigger community. And it really worked, but it's not a subscription base. We literally just, we add shows. In some cities, we have shows 2-3 times a week, like LA. Mm-hmm. In Boston, it's like once a week. In Milwaukee, it's once a month. Right. Sort of dependent on the amount of comedians in that area. And we list the shows on the website. People get tickets through the website, and that's kind of how the process works. So we haven't messed around with any sort of subscription, although we have thought about creating like a membership where you get, access to a bunch of shows and all these deals and stuff, but we haven't got that far.
So it's like that kind of remember when like food trucks started coming out and people would put on Twitter, like, hey, we're going to be in this neighborhood. Yeah. And yeah,
exactly. It's very spur of the moment, pop up. Like I think that's what's cool is too, is people, they can see a show in Venice. Recently, like one of the shows was in the backyard in Venice. The next show, it was one of our super fans who's been to like 40 shows. He lives in this apartment building right by the beach. We do a show on top of his building and put 75 people up there. You never expect to see a comedy show in that space, but I think that's what makes it so exciting.
So you get to the venue or you scope a venue out and you're like, okay, how can I do it here? And you figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And we are like intentional about, okay, like this, sometimes like a rooftop, like there's no bathrooms up here. We can't do a show here. Or
Right.
the outlets are here. Okay. We can put the chairs here. And there's some spaces that we're like, probably wouldn't work well for a show. The ceilings are too high,
Right.
Whatever. So we are like, we want to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success. But
Right.
anytime I'm walking down the street now, I'm looking into these businesses being like, oh, okay. Like in that bookstore, those books are on wheels. We could
like, damn, that's a nice parking lot you got there.
Yeah.
Is it free on Saturday night? Yeah, seriously. Everyone's like, yes.
So we're any space, always thinking, could this be a place for a comedy show?
That's great. That's really smart. And so what did you do for, so let me dig a little bit more on the topic of you said you get somebody you can trust, you kind of give the quality control over, you're handing that over to these other cities, but not without vetting it, making like, that's really, really awesome. And I think really important to just talk about, because I kind of had, I don't know, you just notice this stuff when you do shows. You're just like, some producers really care, some don't, some are just, whatever, but the quality has to be there. And as you let go a little bit and open it up to those other cities, it must've been, a little bit like, okay, I think it's going to be okay. And you kind of, let those people run and see how it goes. Have you had like, anywhere it just didn't pan out, or is it always because you take those steps ahead of time, you're good to go?
Yeah, it's challenging because it's not only like, are the comedians good, but like, is this a good city or location where it like matches with our demo? So I remember we started doing shows in like New Jersey, and the comics we were booking were fantastic. A lot of people coming in from New York, but it didn't really feel like our demo, certain pockets. So we decided after doing a few shows, and we kind of have not like a specific trial period, but we'll do a show, we'll do a couple shows, see how it works. And the nice thing is we're not investing in renting a building or anything like that for long term. Right. We're not leasing. We can like dial it up or dial it back however we want. So at first in cities, we'll usually rent equipment instead before like investing in like buying a PA and chairs and lights and things like that. And then weirdly enough, like there's some places where I was like, yeah, maybe let's test this out. And then all of a sudden it's like Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We have a couple shows there this weekend. I'm from Boston. I'm in Boston right now. Never would have thought we would do shows in Port. I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like community is so excited to come out. There's not a lot of options. It's a really cool city. And, I think that was eye-opening. At the beginning when I started Don't Tell, I thought maybe we'd be in 7 total cities.
Yeah.
I didn't really know the extent of like the comedy scenes in all these other markets. And then you learn, there's like great comics everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's like these hidden gems in every city.
Yeah.
So, we ended up just expanding from there. And, but yeah, like there's definitely been situations where it's like, this is just not a good fit. So we'll probably hold off.
I'm curious to know more, or like what you mean by demo. Is that just based off like ticket sales, pretty much? Like if we're just not seem to land in the area?
Yeah, like if we're not selling, like in some places immediately selling out shows, just with running some ads on social media, and then from like asking our community to tell their friends in that city. But yeah, some places it was like, we're selling 30 tickets, and we want every show to be sold out.
Yeah.
I mean, back when I was producing, I wanted 2 people to come to a bar show.
Yeah.
But with Don't Tell, we hold ourselves to like a high standard. We want to make sure we have enough money to pay the comics that we want to have on the shows and all this stuff. So yeah, if it's like, this isn't a fit, it's usually because the city, the demand is not there for our shows for whatever reason.
Yeah. I'm friends with Danny Jollis, and he spoke just incredibly highly of you and Don't Tell across the board in getting his special ready and doing his special with Don't Tell. And it's an incredible piece of work. But I think what really stands out is those venues, like the surf shop and just the way it comes across visually is so good. And that's, you know, part of your eye for finding a good spot. But, man, what a cool thing. It just expanded the whole realm. I think what you've done is expanded the entire realm of what good comedy can be.
I mean, thank you for saying that. It's really nice. Like, my intention is always, if I don't think something's being done in the right way, or if it's not like doing comedians like a service and like lifting them up, then there's something that needs to be done there. So with live shows, it's like, I was frustrated with these shows where there's so many distractions and the audience isn't engaged and all this stuff. So Don't Tell was, and like clubs being expensive and the 2 drink minimums. So it was like really just trying to make the experience better for both comedians and audience members. With on the digital side of thing and filming content, I've watched so many like specials or even just shorter like digital series of stand-up, and they don't mic the audience. They, you know, shoot it the same exact way every time. It just all starts to look the same, and the comedians are screwed because they're not even like participating in that. They don't have ownership over the content, and they're not like the best version of themselves on stage is not being presented. So when we did this with Danny, like he had this idea for a special, and I was like, let's fucking go. Let's do this. And we're going to do it right. We're going to work with people who want to make something unique and special and showcase like what a great comedian Danny is. And I'm super proud of that special. I mean, we had no experience shooting a comedy special. We just watched a ton of comedy specials, talked about as a group what we didn't like, what we did like, played off of our strength, which is bringing in really good audiences into unique spaces. And Danny's concept worked really well for that. And Danny's just like he's a friend and such a good comic that it's like, why doesn't this guy have a comedy special? It's insane. And so like, that's where we want to step in. We're planning to do this with more comics that we believe in. Let's help them get to the next level. And what Don't Tell and the future of Don't Tell is really focused on is how can we empower comics to grow their careers independently outside the traditional systems, so you're not reliant on managers or agents or, you know, the industry to carve yourself out a career. And like, how can we just provide the most value to comics? And so that, I feel like it's a good place to be coming from. And we have some production companies that didn't start probably as comics. They don't know how difficult it is to build an hour, to do all these things. And we just care so much. I care so much about making it really good and like listening to what the comics have to say and the ideas that they have. And that's where I'm coming from in trying to take on these new like initiatives.
Oh man, I mean, just I can't speak for the entire comedy community, but I'm gonna like. It's good that that's the ethic coming into this. I mean that it's because it's been such a weird one before. I mean, I don't know if when you did shows before you started Don't Tell, did you ever do any of the bringer shows and things like that?
Absolutely.
So it's just like you go in there and it's like, oh, did you sell your 10 tickets? You know, and I don't care whether the comics are good. I don't know. I did a bringer show early on at the main room in the Comedy Store. Right. So I was really, really excited because it's the main room at the Comedy Store and it's a big deal. And I had friends come out, but I had no idea when I would go on. I didn't know when my 3 minutes would be. And I didn't know it would be like 2 hours of garbage with, you know, one headliner would pop in for 20 minutes. Right. So I had friends come out, and I feel like it was on a weeknight. It might have been a Friday night, but I think it was like a Thursday night or something like that. And before the Comedy Store was untouchable ever any night. So it was like 2011 or 12, something like that. And I had like 6 people come out and come to the show. I didn't go on until like 1:15 a.m. And it was it was horrendous. And like, I could see them sleeping like from backstage. Like I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you did this, you know? And I was like, this is on the producer, not me.
Yeah.
Because all they want to do is sell tickets. They don't care who comes if they like it. And of course, it just seemed like such a rat race to be like, this isn't good for comedy. This isn't good for the audience or the comic. I didn't get anything out of it. You know, it was so weird, but that is the model that is in place, kind of.
Somewhere along the way, it just became about getting people in the door to sell. Like people talk about comedy is the business of selling drinks. And that is the perfect example of what that is, which I like. That's the antithesis to Don't Tell Comedy. We're in the business of selling an experience.
Yeah.
And selling drinks. So you can do that by packing a room and seeing 25 comics do 5 minutes, and it's everybody's first or second time on stage. So of course their friends are going to come support. And I did the same exact thing a couple times. It's just so, like you said, it's not good for anyone. The audience just saw, if it's their first time seeing a comedy show,
exactly,
they're not coming back ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say also, like, I've put myself through like one or two sort of open mic situations, not personally, but like I went and attended them, and you know, even the best of sports
still is a challenge.
I still was put through it because the person was so nervous. They started doing crowd work in like a mean way.
Yeah.
And I like thought I was there, like my supportive face on, and all of a sudden, turns into a firing squad. But no, I think if you kind of take a step back and look at that too, it's like it's transitioning from direct comic to audience. Like the middleman is getting disrupted by social media anyway. And that's where like comics that are in the like older model seem to also need some help adjusting and adapting, or some of them have figured out their medium, Instagram or TikTok or what have you, or Twitter. They have like all those things going on, and how they use those is something I'm learning and interested in as we serve that sector of this enterprise, you know, so much. It's so important. But like, you know, talking to Danny, for example, like I know he has a bit about comics and social media, and like how there's no like equilibrium right now. Everyone's trying to figure out their spot, but these specials, Kyle, like I feel like that's disrupting the traditional special model too, and it's connecting audiences to like the high quality content without having to do the whole rigmarole of having to sacrifice other things to do like a, you know, traditional version.
Yeah. It's like you need to do both, right? Because you can't just make it big on social media and then go out and do stand-up and expect to do well. It's like you need to cut your teeth doing a lot of shows. So you need to be able to grind it out and hone your stand-up, but then also have this knowledge of how to build your career online, which is so new that people are really still figuring it out. And
it depends what your goal is, I guess, too. Yeah. Like where ultimately what, you know, can you earn in the same living, or can you earn a living, you know, in that way? I'm not quite sure.
I think it's exciting though. It's an exciting time with more like opportunities.
Yeah. I find it really fascinating to watch this evolve because like you said, it is so new in the grand scheme. You know, when a new social media platform comes around, you know, like remember when Vine came around, it quickly rose to the top who was really good at Vine, and they made good money and it became a thing, and then it disappeared. So you had people who were like all their life was invested in being a Vine celebrity, and then it just went away. So, you know, TikTok is the big one now, and people are able to get all this traction and stuff, but it's like, is it real? Is it a real connection, or is it bots? You know, is it going to carry through? What does it mean when you get 150 million views of your video? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I think maybe that's where I'm a little bit more old school of like, I know that the social media stuff is important and you need to know how to do it, but I think getting really good it should be the first goal for anybody. Like before, you know, I would say as a comic, I was starting out, and I stopped doing stand-up like 2 years ago, just to focus on running Don't Tell.
Yeah.
But like, I know from my experience, like I remember posting a clip early on, and then you look back and you're like, that was so bad. Like, why did I post that?
Yeah.
And I would say like any comic, you know, probably wait at least 2 years before posting anything online. Leave the
or
open
that's
mic.
that's their stage time. I mean, audiences interacting with it, the live stream, stuff like that. Like, it's just a whole separate unit of measurement, I would imagine. But like, what does that feel like? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think you get ripped apart and you probably get discouraged if you're looking for like validation on the internet when you're starting out, you're gonna get absolutely scorched.
Gen Z's got some brass balls. Can I say balls on this podcast?
You can say whatever you want on this podcast.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Gen Z's got some brass balls. Shout out to all of them. But I think about the things as like a mid-level millennial as I am. I'm like, I have all these things like locked away in like MySpace and Photo Bucket. And like early, things that you just, the internet is like, it's there forever. Yeah. I think we're cautious of that because like at, this age, because we've seen that happen and we feel like it's nervous, but the younger generations are so just, it's such a part of who they are and like how they move through the world. It's like a different sense, and that I feel like they're able to embrace it a little more fully than maybe I would personally feel comfortable with, but power to them.
I left I have a greatest hits reel of my first year in comedy that I left on YouTube. It's awful.
Oh, cool.
It's awful, but it's funny to me. Like,
yeah.
Oh, good Lord. But, it is what it is. And, it's funny because I don't have newer stuff on there because I realized it's not ready. Right. So it's almost like you have this, when you first start doing it, you do those bringer shows, somebody records it, for about a year, I was recording every one of my sets, like video recording. And I learned a lot doing that. It's very helpful. But I sent it to somebody that was like a rep once. And he was like, you should never show anyone this video ever again. And he's kind of right. Like, but I knew it's almost like, okay, you grabbing onto comics who appreciate the art, who appreciate what they're trying to do to bring this to life, know how hard it is, and appreciate that care that goes into what you're producing. I think it is something that, to your point of like the 2-drink minimum and selling drinks and stuff like that. I mean, that is, you've proven that you don't have to do that, which is great.
It's so nice.
And to be able to pay comics, for stage time is like, that's always been my priority. I'm like, I'm not doing this for free. They shouldn't either. But every single time I give people cash at the end of the show, they're like, oh, we get paid? I'm just like, yeah. I mean, it's not a lot, but yeah, like,
I know. In LA specifically, it's like, it's so hard to get paid.
Which is bananas.
It sucks so much. It's like not good for comedy. You're like, that was one thing. It's like everyone who performs on Don't Tell show needs to get paid. It's just like, we're building up this brand because people love the shows, and they love the shows because the comedians are really good. Yeah. So it just makes sense.
It's cool. And you have it where it's like, everything is kind of central and pooled, or do you do city by city kind of thing adjustments? Or at this point now you have so much volume in all these cities, right? So how are you spacing that out? How are you thinking about that in terms of I don't know, like at the height of it before the pandemic, probably you on any given night, how many cities did you have going at once?
Yeah, it would range from like anywhere from 15 to 35 shows a weekend. Wow. So the most we had, it was like 35. And I think that was one weekend where we did this like mini festival in Boston where we had 8 shows over 3 days. And we started doing these, like, we call them Don't Tell takeovers, where we go into a city, do a bunch of shows, bring in comics from New York and LA, combined with like the best locals, and just create these epic experiences, which we'll get back to doing probably the summer. But 35 was the most we did. And it's so funny because back then we still had a lot of like manual processes. Yeah. Or even like we send out the address reveal, and it was really janky, but it worked. It just required a lot of extra like man hours. Right. But now we've built this, like literally the last 6 months, we've built this like website that's going to make all of our lives so much easier, automating a lot of the processes and creating a much better like infrastructure with less cracks.
Yeah, I was almost thinking like it sounds like an app. Like it sounds like you need to build an app that would do most of that for you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about this, like the development programming and stuff, but my business partner Brett, he like has been leading that, and we built a completely custom website that is going to make the producers' jobs easier, people putting on the shows in every city, our job easier, and it's going to make paying comedians easier and more centralized. So we're like solving, again, like with anything, it's like, how can we make this experience better for everybody?
Yeah.
So we're solving that.
That's really cool. It's fun. It's so great to watch it grow, like to see this thing show up and be like, damn, they're crushing it every show, just crushing it. So, congratulations.
We try really hard. We're working, we're working so hard to try to make this work and to keep like doing new things. So I really appreciate that.
Were you freaking out last March when things started getting shut down, or were you like, okay, here's what we're going to, like, how did you approach going into the unknown in a live events based business? I mean, that's something that everybody kind of had to figure stuff out on the fly, but like, take me through that a little bit, if you don't mind.
It was really challenging. I think of myself as somebody who I'm very adaptable, and kind of like the challenge of like, all right, this is the new reality and I can't do anything about it. Let's figure out what can work. So the first thing, like, I remember it was like a long drive from here, or from LA up to San Francisco, like 6 hours just to think, as it was clear that we just canceled all of our shows for the upcoming weekend. We thought, okay, this will be 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll get back to doing shows. But I also was like, well, this could be a lot longer. Who really knows what's going on?
Yeah.
And I had 6 hours to kind of like freak out a little bit, be like, all right, well, the whole business is live events, and now like going to have to figure out a way to keep things going.
Yeah.
So came up with some ideas for like some virtual like experiences, not Zoom comedy shows, but some like more, the first thing we did was we had a live host, and then we created like a show where it was a live host that would cut to clips, pre-recorded clips where you can hear the audience laughing that we hadn't released yet because we had filmed Danny's special and we had all this really high quality stuff.
Right.
And the first show was really cool. We had 2,700 people signed up and we'd never done a live stream before. And that's its own story. That was crazy and, not ideal.
Yeah.
But our community was very responded really well and was very supportive. And like, it was all donation based, and, paid all the comics that we featured on the show, and then paid all of our producers, because I knew it was going to be a while until we could do stuff again. Like, just paid all of our 45 producers each $100 to just like help them out. And we did a few of those, and then created some virtual trivia experiences that were really fun that Danny was actually hosting.
Yeah.
That were really dynamic and engaging, which then kind of opened the door for this whole private events world. Like we got hit up by companies being like, we're looking for experiences to offer for our remote workers, to bring people together. And like, luckily we had been working on these experiences but we weren't thinking about private events. I was thinking about how can we create a fun experience for our audience? Because we have this email list of like 40,000 people nationwide that like comedy.
Yeah.
So what can we create? And then that was like the saving grace of 2020, was virtual corporate events, a lot of these trivia shows, virtual comedy shows, team building exercises. And that's what recently brought Morgan on to help lead is our virtual events, because now it's just turned into a business where we have incoming leads and companies, requesting events for 600 people. So it's like it truly saved us. Like the month of December, like kept us afloat, and now it's still a business for us.
That's amazing. I just thought of, while you were saying that, companies have incredible campuses.
Yeah.
So there's another venue where you can have sort of a private company business don't tell.
Yeah.
In their, because they're incredible spaces. Like, I don't know if you've been to some, like I'm just talking the few, like the Google campus downtown in Venice is amazing. Almost any legit business is going to have a nice office setting, and people.
So the last company I was at before I came to Don't Tell, we were at the Water Gardens in Santa Monica, and I invited my coworker to a show, and then I get the notification, and it's in the show's in the Water Garden, like the floor, 2 floors above, like where our office was. And I was like, well, it's not usually that way, but it's cool to see. But it's all the empty office space for sure. I mean, I know you're thinking of campuses too, but there's so much like spaces opened up, and now that we're in these corporate spaces more, and we have that able to accommodate that. I totally agree.
Yeah. And Matt, like that's literally dead on, because even before the pandemic, that's our specialty, is bringing chairs, equipment to spaces, creating an atmosphere for a comedy show. And we did, a bunch of shows for this company up in SF. They wanted to do quarterly events with us, this real estate company that just had an office, and they'd invite all their clients. And we do a show for 60 of their clients as a way to bring people together. Yeah. And that's like something that we're now seeing companies reach out, being like, can we do a show? And the question becomes, all right, well, do you want us to provide a cool space near where you live, or you want us to have it at your office or in your campus where we can set everything up and bring the comics? And if you have people that are around the world that want to tune in, we can live stream.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's really cool. What about like, it'd be a funny like twist, right? But you start as we can do any venue location, and you can evolve to, and we also have our own Don't Tell spaces, right? Like comedy clubs that are Don't Tell club. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's really, there's so many places you could go, because what you have is a quality product.
Yeah. We've thought about that. Like I've thought about, in some markets where there's huge demand in specific neighborhoods that don't have a lot of options, like would it be worth like having a space that maybe it's our office, and then we convert it into a space for a comedy show every weekend or something like that. People do seem to like the pop-up nature, but the great thing is we have good relationships with tons of really cool spaces in different cities. So it's like because we have great relationships and they're able to monetize their space. If it's like an event space that hosts events, we're renting out the space, and we can have, use that venue for corporate events. Yeah,
man, it's so exciting, man. I'm really, really psyched for you. Like this is really cool. I think there's almost I think you're heading into even a bigger, potential than you might have even thought of before at this point, given just the nature of coming out of this pandemic. And
that's something I don't know which direction necessarily you mean, because I think there's a few there for sure, but the future of work and how we've been out of happenstance, like the Don't Tell experience has been brought now to like the corporate space, and like you're comfortable with each other. Kyle, I don't know if like you ever would, it just wasn't, a part of your repertoire before, and like, or in the same way. And now that that's there, I feel like there's so much potential with companies, and there's an appetite for it. And like, you see journals published like on a pretty frequent basis, and research showing about how important it is to be able to laugh and have fun with your coworkers at work. And coming from like that space, it was few and far between that like hangouts would actually be fun and like worthy. Like people would be half typing on the side, and like, one person's like talking about being engaged for like for every single time. You're like, I can't hear this anymore. And we're like, it's just like small talk is just hard to do because people aren't that like necessarily great at it. They're there for work or they're there for this, but it is important. And so people like that value it and get it are driving these events. And I feel like the more they're doing that, the more it's going to help bridge the gaps of like sticking around longer, because there's huge retention rate issues that a lot of corporations are facing right now. Yeah. Why stick around if we don't have like Google, necessarily the Google campus model that everyone used to go hang out in? We have a brewery on site and stuff. Like those aren't the things that are going to attract the workforce in the same way as like, what else are you doing to keep me connected in a more flexible way?
Yeah, it's cool. It's really amazing. I'm
Can't play foosball on campus anymore, but like, can we do like, quarterly trivia or like a virtual speed dating networking event is like an idea. I was thinking about like,
call the ping pong table and hire us to do a comedy show.
Yeah.
You don't need kombucha. Why not have us teach like whatever for your people? But I think that's super exciting, and it's where it's having the talent on the other end of it too. That's the challenge. So like other companies having this concept there, but like the comics itself, I feel like is what makes all of the events I've participated in and helped with the Don't Tell so successful.
Yeah, and you're building a tribe. I mean, you're building a tribe of people who realize that comics that appreciate a good producer, appreciate somebody who thinks about the sound, thinks about the audience, and thinks about them and the art of it. And your network of those people is basically now endless in being able to produce something of quality. It's really awesome. And I think the having to think about it this way, I don't know if you could come to that if you weren't a comic yourself starting it. You know what I mean?
Everything, I mean, stuff unfolds as you least expect continually. And that's been the case with Don't Tell. So I just try to keep my eyes open and try to tap and just be aware of like what's going on and any opportunities that might, present themselves, just being open to that, because everything's flexible. So what Don't Tell is right now will not be what it is in 2 years. And it wasn't what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Continually evolving. So it's like a fun challenge. But I enjoy it. And just having that through line of we're here because I love comedy and we want to be able to provide value to comedians. We want to be able to make comedy more accessible, and just like improve every part of a comedian's journey.
Yeah.
Like the sky's the limit, I think. In terms of like how much we can hopefully do to just, and kind of accomplish that mission and those goals.
Yeah. So what's next? What's next for you in the immediate term, and what do you have coming up that you maybe want people to know about? I think it's going to be a different world coming out of this.
It truly will be. It's exciting. This weekend we have 12 shows across the country. So it feels really like things are coming back in a bigger way. We have our first shows back in Boston and Minneapolis and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Chicago just got back up and running recently. So like our main focus is relaunching all of these cities, get the live events back up and running. And then, Morgan's been extremely helpful in joining the team to build out the private events business, which we're seeing more and more excitement around.
Yeah.
And then just like building really good partnerships, doing a lot more sponsorships now with brands, some like branded tours, and then
cool.
Ultimately like the content side and helping produce. We have plans to do two comedy specials by the end of the year, and really excited about that. And want to just make sure that we're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And then this technology that we've been building has been awesome. And we're thinking about that as like its own thing that we can hopefully build tools that make every single independent comedy producer's job across the country easier, and give them access to those tools.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's really good, man. I so appreciate your time, and I so appreciate what you're doing. I think it's incredible for comedy, and the results are pretty obvious with these shows and the level of talent that you're getting there. And especially now, it's interesting because so many comics have left Los Angeles that it's like there's this big. I kind of see it as like an opportunity for a I don't know. It was almost like a clearing out and allowing of the people who were just on the cusp to start to shine. And now they don't have to shine just at one club anymore because we've accepted comedy in other venues. And it's awesome. I mean, you're on the tip of the spear here, I think, with really getting to a cool spot and a cool opportunity for so many comics.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having us on. And I think, I always think that more good comedy shows is good for comedy. So it's all beneficial. It's not a zero-sum game here for comedy. So like, if anybody's, there's a lot of people who've been doing pop-up shows in locations, and I'm like, hell yeah, like do it right. And that's great for everyone.
There's so many people. You don't need them all, right? It's
I will say too, if you're interested in hosting, you got a cool, backyard, cool roof, what have you, the submission form is on the don'ttellcomedy.com website, and a comic submission form too. So part of that, keeping the community growing and connecting the next, generation of comics with today's audiences, that's a big priority that we're always pushing to. So if those are folks listening, they can also check that out.
Right on. Yeah. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else you wanted to, we didn't cover? I know we had.
I think we got to plug again, because a mutual friend of both of ours is Danny Jollis's comedy special.
Danny Jollis special.
Yeah, it's on his YouTube channel. It's called 6 Parts, and really proud of it. If you want to see a comedy special that's shot in a surf shop, a barber shop, recording studio, art gallery, first of its kind, just go see Danny and follow him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That special is incredible, and I heard him go into detail on it with John Huck on John Huck's podcast, Speaking Highly. And like I said, just rave reviews of Don't Tell as a production, as a partner, as a caring, really just most important thing is the comedy. And the way it was shot was just so cool. With it almost looked like Danny set the chairs up and set the mic up, and
yeah. So we had such a great crew on that. A friend, Gordy Earl, directed it with Brad Selnitzer, who's a comic, and this guy Mark Davis was the DP, and we had a sound guy, Ryan Meadows, who was like the sound. He does sound on Game of Thrones. So like we called in some serious favors to make sure that we did this right. So like all credit goes to the people who actually shot the thing. I was just lucky enough to organize it and just set Danny up for success.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt, so much. Really appreciate you creating the space.
No worries, man. Congratulations on your success, and look forward to seeing some shows and connecting later. But thank you, Morgan, for pulling this together. And Kyle, it's been a pleasure to meet you and chat with you, man.
Likewise, man.
All right.
Thanks, both. Thanks so much, Matt.
I said to myself, this fair ain't never gonna go too well. But why should I try to resist when, baby, I know too well that I've got you under my skin. I'd sacrifice anything come what might for the sake of having you near, in spite of a warning voice that rings in the nights, repeats and repeats in my ear. Don't you know, little fool, you ain't never gonna win. Use your mentality, wake up to reality. But each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop just before I begin. Yes, I've got you under my skin. Hey there, you with the stars in your eyes. Love never made